Christing anew. Christing is the idea of becoming a fully realized being of God. Yes?
Yes.
So, there's an awareness of oneness and a complete connection with God. We know the word Christ means anointed. So, we realize that that is the goal of everyone, to rise into the realization, the true realization that we are the sons and daughters of God. We believe it, don't we?
Yes.
Yes.
We feel it.
Yes.
When we meditate, we can feel that connection and we feel that divinity. We walk out in the world and we are challenged by our own creations. And then do we feel it? No. We have not yet mastered this ability, what Jesus Christ taught. You know, he did many, many things. Not only did he do the healings, he manifested matter. He moved his body about through dimension. He did many things that we are not quite yet doing. So we want to look at Christing as a process. We awaken a little, we have experiences that teach us, we master this level of consciousness, and then we'll go through another awakening. And we go to a higher level of consciousness, and we go through the same process every time. Okay, so when we look at Jesus' life, which is what we've been doing over the holiday season, he was the one that fully became the Christ. He was one with God. And everything that he did, he matured as he grew. He came in as the infant, awake, but he too had to go through processes to mature, to become that Christ being that could demonstrate the way he did. He was on the path so fast and so quick that his body was actually changing even as he was going through his last days. If he had not done the demonstration of the death, resurrection, and ascension, he would have ascended naturally because his body was lifting and lifting. That's the process of Christing. We become the spirit that we are. So, everyone is in the process of the Christing, and everyone here is at some level of awakening. Do y'all realize that? I mean, when you come in here and you look at people, don't you see a light in their eyes? Don't you see that there's something different? So all of us that walk through those doors have to be at some level of awakening, or we wouldn't even be drawn here. And I remember one psychic fair, Cheryl had a protege that was doing massage, and he said to her after working our fair, he said, all those people that came to get worked on, I could not tell how old they were. They all had a light in their eyes, and they were also different than what he's used to working on. And she goes, yeah, what'd you expect? We're working on becoming spirit here. We are working on our hearts. So everybody is working. Everybody in the world has divinity in them. Doesn't matter what faith you are, and we call that the spark of the Christ within them. Every human being has that divinity in them. And when we allow it to awaken, we allow it space to express in our world. That's awakening the Christ. Love opens the door. Fear does not. Fear does not. So, what we're going to do this morning is we're going to look at Jesus' story. Jesus' birth story is symbolic of the steps that we all go through. We all go through these steps the same. My son wrote a great article about the experiences that we share that will be in our January newsletter. I would invite you all to read that because it's true. We all go through these processes. So here is the metaphysical interpretation of the birth that we can apply to our own lives. Take a breath. Are you ready? Okay. Before an awakening occurs, your mind and your intuition are forewarned. You have a warning that comes to you. In the story, Mary represents our intuition. She represents the feminine guidance system and our wisdom. And in Luke, we see the story about the angel appearing to Mary and telling her what was going to happen. There was going to be a divine act occurring in her world. So, the intuition gets a vision or a glimmer of a higher path that it may or may not understand, but it feels like it's being guided to something new and different. And Then the logic side of our brains, which is Joseph. Joseph represents our logic. He represents how we are in the outer world. Who am I in the world of matter? So the logic side of us goes, I don't think so. In Matthew, it tells us that when Joseph was told by Mary that she was going to have the Son of God, he went, I think I shall get a divorce. Most ministers don't tell you that story. Do y'all know that? And in the story of Matthew, an angel appeared to Joseph in a dream and said to him, get over it. This is the divine path you will be walking. And so he came out from his dream and he said, I may not know how we're going to do this, but I accept that we are. This is the moment when our intuition and who we are in the world say yes to this higher realm that we may or may not understand. Do you following with me? Okay. The logic and the intuition have to match. The idea of a new path and the idea of the new path and the idea that the way is possible have to come together. The new path, the intuition, the way is possible is your logic. If we're going to have a change, both must be comfortable with the possibilities. Okay? One of the greatest changes that I went through, I want to share this briefly. I was 34 years old, and I had a 4-year-old son, and I was single, and I was at the brink of one of my greatest transitions in consciousness that I'd ever experienced. And I'd had many at that point, you know. I had been teaching in a metaphysical church, you know, blah, blah. And I had this feeling that I had to quit my job in corporate, and I had to find a way to go back to school, and there was a school where I could become ordained. And there was no way to do this, no way at all. But my heart was just, my intuition, my Mary, was so knowing that something had to happen here, something had to happen. The path, I could see the glimmer of the path. And I had been seeing an astrologer maybe once a year for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years. We were, you know, had enough of a relationship. I called him. And I said, his name was David. And I said, David, I was crying, of course. I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know what's happening to me. I have to quit my corporate job, and I have to find a way to go to school. I have to do this, or I'm going to die. I'm just going to die. And he said to me, well, in your chart, I can see all the pressure. And the reality is, you might lose everything. Well, that's not really what I want to do. But in that moment, when he said that to me, my action, my logic said, you know what? If you stay, you have already lost. Because you're going to die. You've already lost. And at that moment, my male and my female came together. My Mary and my Joseph came together. And I'll never forget it because it was so strong. And I thanked him. Thank you so much. So nothing else needed to be said. I said what I needed to say because I said it verbally to him. If I stay, I will die. I hung up the phone. I cried my eyes out. I had no idea what was going to happen, but I knew the die was cast. We were going forward and didn't even know what the first step was going to be. To me, that was a very committed moment of coming together to take a new level of consciousness. For you, it might be more subtle. But do you hear what I'm saying in that? Can you feel the action and the intuition coming together? It had to click in. It had to click in. And you know, I always tell you, the first time you have one of those profound ones, that's the one you remember the most. After that, you may have them frequently. But that first time where you absolutely gave up the terror of change and moved into the unknown because you had no choice. That's a profound moment when your intuition and your logic come together to Christ. And that's what Mary and Joseph did. Don't you think everything they were going through was out of their realm of worldly consciousness? yeah, okay, you guys. And they had to say, no, we're going to do this. We're committed. So that's the first thing that will happen. You'll get your wake-up call. You'll get the thing in your mind, are you ready? Can you do this? And then the second thing that always happens in your Christing is you'll be put in the right and perfect place. For Jesus, some say it was the taxation. Some say they were going to visit Elizabeth. We do not know how he ended up in Bethlehem. But we know that they were traveling and they ended up in Bethlehem. And we know that Bethlehem was so crowded there was no place for them to sleep. So the perfect place for him to be born. And why was it perfect? It fulfilled Jewish prophecy that he be born in Bethlehem. It fulfilled Jewish prophecy that he be born in low estate. So many of the activities of that night fulfilled the prophecies around his birth. And for us, that right and perfect place for us to birth our Christ could be a workshop, could be a meditation, could be a Sunday morning, could be walking in the woods one day, could be sitting at your computer. We don't know, but we know that the events that will lead you to that perfect space have already been set up. And most of the time, when you feel that awakening of the Christ within you, you will feel as if you are in a magical space. How did I get here? I shouldn't have been to this workshop. I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Oh my God, I Googled it and this came up. What is this going on? You know, it's a divine moment where the environment now supports you, birthing the Christ. And you of yourself could not have orchestrated it. Do you know what I'm saying? Always. Always. And then, there's always a star. There's always this pointer of divine intervention that shines down upon you in that moment. When you are called to awaken, you can feel that you are not alone. There is this beautiful energy that is greater than you could ever imagine, that you could ever embody, shining on you and saying, yes, you're my child. Of course you're my child. Of course. And again, it could be anywhere. It could be anywhere. Anywhere. And in that moment, something within you would open. You feel this light coming through you. And it doesn't matter how many times you've experienced this before. It's like a newness of your own spirit is being birthed. You feel a greater expansion of love, a greater oneness with God, a greater awareness of divine truth and divine knowledge that so goes beyond our minds to think. There's something that bursts within you that is greater than you've ever experienced. And you don't know what to do with it. But it's there. Do you know what I'm talking about? And you just feel, I will never be the same. I won't be the same. But it's so new. All you have to do is say yes in that moment. Yes. And then everything begins to move. You feel this beautiful movement within your heart to see differently within. And then as you open your eyes to look at your world, you see differently in your world. When that shift occurs, however small or large, it changes how you see your world. And then you'll be able to see all of the support that's around you. And don't you know you've got angels there? And don't you know you've got shepherds just waiting to come and tell you how awesome you are? They've been waiting for that moment to stand forth and support you. The angels are waiting for that moment where they have full permission to intervene in your life. And when you say yes to that divinity, don't you know you're saying yes to angelic support at that level? You're saying, all the angels that will help me where I am, I now say yes. And it's a calling forth of support for you. So, the angels are the activity of God that now can flow freely into your new level. And the shepherds are people who love God too. They recognize your light. They are your heavenly support team. The angels may talk to you in dreams, and the shepherds give you words of encouragement and kindness. I want you to think with me for a moment. I know you know when you feel your angels. But how often when you have that awakening within, do you really recognize the shepherds that are around you? Those people that come and say, oh, look at you, you're so beautiful. They don't even have, you don't have to tell them a story. They see something within you. Oh, look, I love God too. Hey, let's do something together. Hey, let me support your goodness. Let me be kind to you. Let me say something that honors the Christ within you. Do we see our shepherds? Do we recognize when we are called upon to be a shepherd to another? They're always around us. Always. And that beautiful world, that beautiful new level of consciousness that we are now awakening to, this is a new world. The world of matter also now can recognize your awakening, and it comes to your support. And guess who comes? Oh, the wise men. All the beautiful wise men come to help you now. And some of them bring you money. Some of them bring you gold. Don't you know, when I was 34, don't you know, I had beautiful wise men who consciously thought, I need to take Cindy and David out for some food because they're scrubbing it. And took my son on shopping trips because I couldn't afford to buy him. And then there were the people who brought the healing, the frankincense and myrrh, and all those beautiful, wise people who opened their heart. They will always be there to help heal you. And how many times have you been a healing agent in someone's life? How many times all of us can say, I did not make it to where I am without those healing agents that came to help me. Those wise men that saw that I was a baby in consciousness, that I needed help. This Christing process is not done alone. And you know, I've been questioned many times when I've been the wise man of gold for someone. And they go, what are you doing? Why are you giving them some cash? Well, they need food for their baby, so I'm giving them cash. Why are you going and healing people that may not care about our church? Because that's my job. Because that's what is mine to do today. And as we all play those beautiful roles of supporting each other and of being that to one another and receiving it when someone comes to offer to you their healing, their guidance, and their truth. Next time someone comes to you and says, I see you. Can I help? Let me offer you something. Will you say no like you always have? Or will you let them play their role in your life? All of this is about us being supported in our journey in Christing. And you can see the emotions that I have. I'm still in the process. I still value so much when a tender heart turns to me. And sometimes tender hearts are afraid to turn to me because I'm Cindy. Oh, Cindy doesn't need anything. Oh, yes, she does. We all need things. We need things. So, the universe will send the matter to support you on your journey. Your action and your thoughts, your heart, the angels, everything will be supporting you. And you will be called the newborn king. Your true potential is defined as king, and king means that you are ruler of your own destiny. Can you breathe that in? I am not the king of you, and you are not the king of me. You are the king of your own destiny. What you do is for you. And everything will come together to create a world where matter is supporting you. And then, out of left field, will come Herod. Herod, the reigning authority of the land as it is. And Herod will say, oh, no, you don't. Oh, no, we shall find ways to make you not do what you're doing. Because in our world, the world rules. And when that happens, what happened to Jesus? Everybody banded together to take him and John to Egypt so they could live safely in a world and grow up until Herod was gone, until the world could receive him. How many of us in Christing find ourselves lifted up and moved out of an environment where Herod lives? We are automatically lifted out of any environment that would say no to our growth or suppress our growth. And we don't have to do a thing about it. The entire consciousness of what we've received moves us. So we can now live and take time to grow and own that level of consciousness. Everything comes together to protect you and create the space where you can grow. And when you're in that growth process, as you guys know, we're all Christing, we're in the growth process. You're living in your world. We have our angels and shepherds and wise men. We're cooking. We're doing what we need to do. When someone comes and says some horrible thing is happening to our economics, and you say, huh, what is that to me? I'm busy. Talk to you later. You keep working in your world, and someone will come and say something negative about something else. Huh. Okay. Good for you. I got to keep busy. And we actually live in a hub of reality that coexists within the greater world, but is not affected by anything that would deter the growth of your Christ. That is the truth. And the own struggles that you face in the growth of the Christ is within your own heart. It is not about what our brothers and sisters are doing out there. It's about us. Now, you can try to Christ and bring the world in with you, but then you're living with Herod. And you don't have to. You will literally be moved to a new space where you can be incubated. Be in the world, but not of the world. You're incubated. You're not isolated. You're incubated in your own consciousness. We continue to grow in this space, and then we'll come to a plateau where we have mastered that level of consciousness. Oh, we love the plateaus, don't we? Some of us haven't seen one in a while, I see. And then it'll happen again. But it happens within us. It's not like you say, I shall. Your higher self says, it's time. You can't kick the door open. But when you start getting the urges within, you know it's time. And fortunately, for those of us that are seasoned, we can look back and see how many journeys we've been on. And we know it's going to be okay. We will survive. We will be taken care of. And we will be different in the end. For the young ones, trust me, it's okay. You will survive. And you will be different in the end. So, birthing of this Christed consciousness. Sometimes the call to Christ comes with great pain, like childbirth. Some of us really need a very dramatic wake-up call before we say yes to that call within. And sometimes it's as gentle as just a nudge or a spark or something that takes your breath away and takes you to that space of the Christ. Doesn't matter how you start. You will start. Everyone does. That's the journey of all mankind, to become the realized child of God. The realized child of God. Not just you in this room, but every person that walks this earth. That's our job and our journey. To remember we're spirit and to begin to act like spirit. So, we are all on the road to Christing. Our job is to look for our angels. Look for our shepherds. And look for those wise men. And to be a shepherd. Be an angel. Be a wise man to another. We are all in this together. We are the brotherhood of the Christ. Such an easy message, yes? Something we all go through, yet we don't realize. And when we're in the midst of it, sometimes it's challenging, isn't it? But when we remember that brother that we're looking at next to us, that sister, maybe going through the same thing, we just accept each other in love. Make love always the energy of the door to our heart. Not fear, not concern, just love. We'll always be in our right and perfect place, and we'll always flow when we're guided to flow. We'll always be moved where we need to move. And I can tell you in my journey that great shifting, we never missed a meal, we never missed a bill, and I did not get in debt in the process. That is how powerful the Spirit of God was. So, let's take this within. Okay, put your feet on the floor. God, we ask that your love totally enfold each one of us. And I ask that a beautiful column of light come over us. And I would just ask you to feel your heart. You know, it doesn't matter where you think you are in this world. You are in your right and perfect place. God, our Father and Mother, could not love you more than you are loved right now. And I want you to take a moment just to breathe in that love God has for you. Feel the nourishment of the food from your parent. You are not alone. And I want you to move just a little deeper into the heart. I want you to feel that beautiful light of your own inner Christ. Just imagine that you can move and just feel the glow of it. See that light. And now turn back and just see the energy of your world. There is room for growth. The light does not shine fully and completely through every thought and every word. There is room for growth. And as you stand aware of the light, looking at your life, I want you to become aware of perhaps some shepherds that are in your world. See who is shepherding you, who is helping you. And look, is there any wise men helping you, standing forth with you? And just feel the beautiful energy of God's love outside your world, seeking to come in. From your heart, you feel the Christ, you see the vibration of your world, and beyond that is a brilliant light. In this moment, just for a moment, breathe that light into your world. Breathe that light into the world. And just watch as it comes from the outside in, permeating all the details of your life. See the brightness. And then let the light within you go forth to meet it. And feel that connection. God without all that I create, God within me becomes one. This is the world you can live in. God. And just let the vision go as you turn your eyes directly to the light and just feel the presence of Jesus Christ by your side. Take him by the hand and just thank him for where you are today, for the great gifts that you receive. And feel peace. I say yes to my divinity. I say yes to the Christing process I am currently on. And I thank you, God. Feel your heart opening, expanding. Take a breath. And send your energy into the room. When you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. How do you feel? Welcome to planet Earth, the school of the Christ. And say, yay, God.
Yay, God.